Jack has an opening comment.
Welcome and thank you for coming today. As you know, we've gone through a pretty extensive vetting process. I've spoken to numerous amount of candidates, had many phone calls, phone conversations with managers, ex-managers, potential managers, and at the end we brought a group of guys to Arizona and had a very good session. Spent about a week down there and had numerous conversations and rather lengthy conversations. We then narrowed it down to a group of 4 guys that we brought to Seattle. And in the process, Lloyd McClendon was a very impressive gentleman. Not only his background as a player, it's historic if you go back to his Little League days, watch his career through college, on to the minor leagues, into the big leagues. He was a bullpen coach, a hitting coach, managed at one point in time, and I think all of us were very comfortable with him. And I think the thing we're going to find out here in Seattle is we've got a very, very sincere, outstanding person, a very strong personality, but it's a personality I think that you're all going to gravitate to. This is a gentleman. This is a guy that's determined to do an outstanding job. And through the whole process, he had an opportunity to sit with everyone in the organization in the front office. And I think to a man, we came away saying, at this point in time, for this organization, at this time, his leadership skills, his ability to direct people, I think his experiences of some of the people that he's been around, as well as his experience as a manager, have got us to the point where we are today. And with that, Lloyd, let's show him your jersey. Congratulations.
Lloyd, right down here.
Okay, with that, Lloyd McClendon.
Well, first of all, thank you. I'm going to tell you something. I told Jim Linden I wouldn't cry. So I just met a gentleman outside named Bob, and he started crying, and I started crying. So there it is. First of all, I'm extremely happy and honored to be here. I think this is a golden opportunity for me, and it's a golden time for the Seattle Mariners. I think there's nothing but good things for this organization. I certainly think we're headed in the right direction. I know the last 3 or 4 years have been very tough and very disappointing. But, you know, I was asked a question earlier today, does this team remind you at all of the Pittsburgh Pirates? And I said no. It reminds me of the Detroit Tigers. And I mean that sincerely. This team reminds me so much of the 2006 Detroit Tigers and the potential that was with that team. And I'm really excited and honored to be here. And, you know, hopefully we'll do great things here. I don't promise victories on a nightly basis, and I don't ask my players to go out and win any particular game. The one thing that I do and I will demand is that we prepare, both from a physical and mental standpoint, to go out and do battle. My motto is simple. I respect my opponents, but I fear nobody. And I want my players to take on my personality, how I approach the game, and how we go about our business. And I think we'll put a product out on the field that the fans in Seattle could be very, very proud of. And with that, I'll open it up for questions.
Lloyd, what was it about Seattle that kind of enticed you to go after this job?
Felix, and Felix. I mean, you know, come on, this guy is just unbelievable. He's a tremendous asset to any organization, and what he does out there is awfully special. And then you can back it up with a guy like Iwakuma. I mean, that's something to work with. They got a kid by the name of Walker, and I think he's going to be pretty special. And a guy by the name of Paxton's got a chance to be pretty special. So, you know, pitch is the name of the game. And if they pitch well, you know, you're going to love me, and you'll probably give me the keys to the city. And if they don't, you'll be kicking my butt out the door, and that's okay. That's the way it goes.
When you were,
On the other side, you know, there are a lot of young hitters on this team, and I think we got an opportunity to see them play in September. What needs to be done to take them to the next level?
Well, I think I know a little bit about hitting. You know, with my days in Detroit, we had 3 batting champions, 2 MVPs. You know, I think I can help young hitters. I've had guys that have come along and gotten 200 hits, performed in all-star games. So I'm not a neophyte when it comes to hitting, and I certainly think we have a nice core group of young players that have tremendous ability. We need to harness it. We need to encourage them, and we need to support them. I'm going to try to kill them with love. So I think we got a chance to be pretty good.
you had 5 years in a row at Detroit during your time where the team was at or well above 500. Besides individual talent, what are the kind of the team level attributes that facilitates that level of consistent success?
Commitment, character, you know, integrity, understanding what being a teammate is all about, understanding what teamwork is all about. You know, we had some tremendous talent there, and they still have tremendous talent there. And one of the things that we were not afraid of was preparation. Getting your work in on a daily basis, making sure that you do the things that you're supposed to do to get yourself ready to play games. And, you know, hopefully we can instill those values here.
Lloyd, when you look back at your time in Pittsburgh, what do you take out of that? What do you bring here from your experience there?
Well, I was a young, energetic manager that, you know, had my moments. I certainly tried to be a player's manager, quote unquote. I think, you know, the players respected me. They understood that I was going to be out there and supporting them. But I think the biggest thing I got from all of that is, you know, be smart enough to get them ready to play and then get out of their way. Let them go out and play, grow, understand, and enjoy the game.
Lloyd, what was it like working with Jim Leland all those years, and how do you think, and what do you think of what you will integrate in your managerial style after spending so much time with Jim?
Well, I'm a good smoker now. And I got some mean underwear, so. You know, Jim is a very special person in my life, and certainly a lot of who I am and where I am today is a result of Jim Leland. I think more than anything, he has really solidified my convictions and my beliefs as to how you go about your business, how you prepare, how you treat your players, and understanding that we're all here. Jack, myself, you guys, and everybody else, we're here because of the product that's out on the field. And we need to endorse that, encourage them, make them as good as we possibly can, and love them.
Lloyd, what do you think is your biggest challenge coming into your job, and also the biggest challenge for the team?
Well, listen, this is a result-oriented business. You know, I understand the honeymoon process and all that, but the bottom line is winning games, developing young talent, making sure that they continue to move forward, win games in the process, and hopefully, when it's all said and done, we'll be popping some champagne and having a good time. That's non-alcoholic.
You're from Derry, and back in the day, Derry and East Chicago had some tremendous high school basketball teams. What was the force that got you into baseball at a young age?
I couldn't play basketball. You know, I think athletes back then were certainly probably a little different than athletes today. We didn't really specialize in any one thing. We did a lot of different things good. And, it kept us out of trouble, that's for sure. And certainly being able to go out on the baseball field and perform the way I did at a young age. Certainly brought a lot of enjoyment, and I figured, hey, I can do this, and maybe this is a niche in life for me.
Since you're on that, and this is a big Little League area, are the stories true? 5 home runs, 5 in a row, 1971?
Well, you know, the legend lives on, I guess. I guess as I get older, I'll probably expand it a little bit. Yeah, but it was 5 home runs and 5 official bats, and I walked 10 intentional times, yeah.
You said you wanted the team to take on the personality you. What is your personality? What do you want them to play like?
Well, you know, I guess that's a load of questions in a lot of different ways, but I'm a fiery guy. I respect the game. I respect my opponents. I don't fear anybody when we step out on the field. My thing is, you know, if you want to be the best, you know, you hear this statement all the time, but it's true. You got to beat the best, and my attitude is bring them on. You know, if we prepare ourselves from a mental and physical standpoint, and we continue to get better, I'll take my chances.
Lloyd, you are the 8th manager in 11 years for this franchise and 3rd since 09 under Jack. Does that track record concern you at all? Did you have any conversations about that before you took the job?
No, I'm glad to be the 8th manager. If I wasn't the 8th manager, I wouldn't be here. So I'm happy that I'm that guy. That doesn't concern me at all. And look, you know, when you don't win and you don't succeed, changes are going to be made. That's just the way it is. That's the nature of this business. And I fully accept that. I fully understand that. I'm ready for the challenge. I'm excited about the challenge. I like the group we have here, and I love Jack's plan. I think it's a solid plan, and you can see it working. But we need to have a little patience, yeah. But at the same time, I think we have a chance to take a step forward.
Did you talk to any other franchises about managing? Were there any other offers for you to get back in the manager's seat this year?
Well, I interviewed in Detroit, yeah, and I've interviewed in the past. You know, it's funny. I'll share a little bit of the conversation that I had with Jack, and I expressed long before the decision was made in Detroit that this was the place that I wanted to be, and I thought this was home. And I thought that 3 years ago. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. But I think I'm in the right place at the right time, and I think the stars have lined up, and I think we had a chance to do some special things here.
What is there about this situation that made you feel that way?
Well, I thought I answered that before. Feelings, and feelings. I mean, pitching, you know. We got a chance to be real good on the pitching side. And look, everybody loves to score runs, and I think we will score runs. We'll get better. We'll get better. Our players will get better because they're more experienced. They're going to know the league a little better, you know. They're starting to get their man muscles a little bit, so to speak. So this team, from an offensive standpoint, will get better. But as we continue to pitch and play solid defense, I think it's going to be a fun team to watch.
Jack, what was different about interviewing Lloyd now versus 3 years ago?
Probably experience, I think, more than anything else. You know, Lloyd had a great interview 3 years ago. You know, you can make one decision at one time. I think that we selected a manager at that time, you know, that had come very close to taking the club to the World Series. I think this time around, you know, you learn from experience of interviewing people, and I think as we went through this whole process with this whole group of guys, you know, I think you're seeing it here today. I mean, he's such a genuine guy, you know, and I think his leadership skills are that much better. He's always been that, but I think the 3 years of being with Jim continued to help him grow. The success that they've had, you know, I think, again, you look back on it and say, you know, what would have happened 3 years ago is what it was. But at this point in time right now, this guy's prepared for this job, and I'm very excited about Lloyd's commitment here, what he's going to do, the things he said, and there's a lot more he said to me than he's saying to you today, and I think it's pretty special stuff.
Lloyd, you put a value of the experience with Jim here. What is it that you saw from him that you like in how he ran that Tigers team and how he managed for you, Jim?
Oh, for me? Yeah. Well, I go back to Jim way back in the 90s in Pittsburgh. In the early 90s, I've known him, my God, for 25 years. You know, he's You know, Jim's a very honest, forward guy, a great baseball mind. I think the thing that you saw that the players in Pittsburgh in those days when I was with them, and we had some good clubs, we had some tough guys to deal with. And he dealt with them in a tremendous way. He got the most out of guys like Bonds and Bonilla those days. You watched him go to Detroit. You watched his whole career. He went to Miami, won a World Series, goes to Detroit, and does what he accomplished what he accomplished there. You know, he talked to anybody in the game. Those who've been around him, he knows better than anybody. You know, he's a leader. He's a guy that I think the group of players that play under him trust him. They follow him. They believe in him. He instills into them this confidence that Lloyd's talking about. And they take the field with like, we've got a great leader leading us. And I think that's some great qualities that Jim has.
Lloyd, you have a decision to make on your staffing and stuff. How far along on that? Do you have ideas of who you want to bring in maybe for your coaching staff?
Well, Jack and I have had preliminary discussions, and we'll continue to hash that out in the upcoming days, but hopefully have some names at that time.
Lloyd, can you kind of describe what kind of game day manager you are? Are you an aggressive guy? You're kind of conservative by the book? What's your kind of game day style of managing?
Well, I think the way I prepare will certainly start not the day of the game, but the night before. You know, you try to stay one step ahead of the curve. As far as in-game managing, I think you have to be flexible to the situation at hand. The personnel that you have on that particular day, trying to win a ball game. And probably more than anything, be smart enough to get the hell out of the way of the players and let them do their jobs.
Lloyd, do you have a message to a fan base that has grown weary over the last decade of losing season after losing season?
Sure. I understand. And I understand the pain. I've been there, believe me. We lost 5 years ago when I was in Pittsburgh, and certainly when we got to Detroit, it was tough. The fans were very upset and growing weary. But I will tell them this is a golden age for the Seattle Mariners. We have a tremendous core group of players in place. This organization has set a tremendous plan in action. I think it continues to move forward. I think we'll continue to add pieces to get better. And I look for our players to take a tremendous step forward. I can't promise you or tell you how many wins we're going to have. I liken it a lot to the team we had in 2006. We had no idea we were going to the World Series. We thought we could be competitive. We thought the team would take a step forward and get better. But, you know, baseball is a funny game. And I can tell you this, when you buy into it and you buy into the team concept and you enjoy winning, funny things can happen. Who knows? Funny things might happen here too.
Do you have any concerns being hired by a general manager who at least officially has only been signed to a one-year extension?
If I had any concerns, I wouldn't be here today, so I guess the answer is no.
You were asked about the turnover before you at the managers. Was there any trepidation about the way things went with your predecessor that he left at the end of the year voluntarily?
No.
But as a hitting coach, you're hands-on with guys every day. As a manager, can you be that way, or how do you kind of deal with
I think as a manager, you better be that way because you're responsible for the team. Now, you hire people to do jobs and you trust them to do their jobs, but it's my job to make sure that we're doing everything that we're supposed to do to get better. Now, that doesn't mean micromanage, but it certainly means checking the weather every day and making sure there's no storms coming about.
Look, I read somewhere where you were the youngest of 10 boys in your family.
9 boys.
Oh, it's 9 boys?
Yeah.
And did that kind of toughen you up, or what was that like?
I got my ass kicked every day. Oops, we got a TV guy? Yeah, it toughened me up.
In the past year, we saw strikeouts go. We saw pitching kind of pull ahead of hitting, at least in the past year or two. Do you see that as maybe a little bit of a lasting trend? And if it is, will that affect your approach as far as preparation, what you look for?
I'm not sure if I understand your question.
Well, this past season, statistically anyway, strikeouts were up,
Yeah.
and in certain elements, certain segments, hitting was down. It was like pitching was
Yeah.
kind of exerting itself. Do you see that as a
I
trend?
think that was certainly the trend the first half of the season, and it was a concern not only for my club when I was with the Detroit Tigers, but a lot of teams in baseball. But I thought it's starting to even out at the end. But, you know, I think one of the things that's connected to that is, you know, today you have so many young hitters that are being pushed to the big leagues, and they're learning on the go. And I think our team here is no different. You know, we have young hitters that are very talented, but they got to learn the league. You know, and the pitching has an advantage to a certain point. But as they continue to learn that league and they continue to grow in confidence and get better, I think you'll see those strikeouts come down.
Is your clubhouse going to be more of a dictatorship or a democracy?
No, it won't be a dictatorship. No, you know, listen. This is all about the players. It's their clubhouse. It's my job to make sure that I control that clubhouse, and I control the atmosphere and the attitude in that clubhouse. But in the end, it's their clubhouse. You know, I'm here because of them. I'm not here to say it's my way or the highway. I'm here to say it's the Mariner way. It's the right way to do your business. It's the right way to go about your job. So hopefully that's good enough.
And then you mentioned Felix, and I think you mentioned Iwakuma. Can you talk more about what you like about this roster, maybe some highlights on the roster as it sits right now?
Well, I certainly like the power arms that we have at the back end of the rotation. The bullpen is very exciting. They're young, but they're power arms. I think another year under their belt, they're going to get better. They just need a little bit more direction. Again, I have players from an offensive standpoint. They've showed it in spurts, and they showed that they have the ability to do it. Now we need to do it on a consistent basis. And a lot of that comes with confidence, and a lot of that comes with experience.
Have you talked to any of the players yet?
That is my next quest. I'm ready to get out, get on the road, and start visiting our players. I'm gonna see if I can get a frequent flyer number, because I'll be flying a lot. So, but I'm anxious to get out and meet my players and converse with them and see if we can come up with some things that work for us.
What's going to be your message to the players when you meet with them?
You know, I have a saying, and I think you guys are going to get to understand this. And it's real simple. If I wanted you to know it, I would have invited you in on the meeting. So, what I say to my players in private will stay in private. There's certain things that I will share with you, and there's certain things that I won't share with you. And right now, I don't think those are things that I need to share with you.
Jeff, you've heard similar things from previous managers in terms of enthusiasm, passion, and commitment. Why is this different?
Yeah, and that's a fair question. You know, I think that anytime you go in with a new manager, go in with a new set of circumstances, you always take the higher. You know, I don't think there's any question about that. You would never enter, you know, any type of challenge thinking that you've done the wrong thing. But on a personal standpoint, I mean, I've been through this one too many times. I think the vetting process this time was deeper than it has been at any point during my previous interviews for manager. I had familiarity with him. You know, I reached out to players. I had backdoor conversations with other people about players that played for Lloyd, or had been around Lloyd. I know a lot more people in the game at the upper levels. We had great conversations with, I think, a lot of people that said really good things about him. So, you know, I think if you're seeing what I'm seeing, I think you're seeing a good baseball man, a very sincere guy. You're seeing a guy that has great experience under, you know, a terrific leader, you know, and his background as a player. And I think that, you know, I have a lot of confidence in this decision. And it was a very difficult decision because there were a lot of good people. But at the end, I think this personality, this mindset, this individual's leadership, I think is different. You know, it's a quiet, I shared this yesterday on our radio, some of you may have heard that. You know, I look at Lloyd, and reminds me of the guy walking down an alley, he walking down an alley at midnight. Guys jump out from behind a bin, 2 guys. Give me your wallet, give me your money, give me your watch, give me everything you got. And this guy might look at him and say, you might want to be careful. You might want to think twice about what you're about to do, because it's in your best interest to turn around and walk away. And they turn around and walk away, otherwise they paid a price. So I think there's this inner confidence, and I think our players are going to share it. And I think when you look at this young group of kids that are looking for a leader, they're looking for someone that they can trust, that is in their corner, in a manner that is I would say it's a quiet confidence. And I think that's what I saw. So Art, as I said earlier, I have great confidence in this decision.
Lloyd, has that ever happened? Anybody ever tried to get your
Yeah, I did. Hey, I grew up in Gary, Indiana. It was tough. You know, you deal with things. You learn. You know, as Kenny Rogers said, you got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them. So, you deal with things. Yeah.
Lloyd, if you're hired in Detroit, you become a manager of an established team that's seen some success. You come here, it's a lot of young players. Is there excitement inside you to help shape and mold this team to become that successful type team like Detroit?
It really is. This is what I call a golden opportunity and a golden time for the Seattle Mariners. And I'm tickled to death to be a part of it. You know, I've always believed that if you're afraid to lose, you never win. And this opportunity here is a win-win situation all the way. And listen, you know, we sit here and people say, well, this is your day. This is not my day. This is the Seattle Mariners day. And it's all about the players. I am proud to be able to represent this organization, and I'm proud to be able to represent these players. And I should, hopefully, I will inspire them, I will motivate them, I will show them what type of character I have, my integrity, the charisma that I possess, the competence on the job. You know, I know what I'm doing, and I think they'll respect my communication skills. And above all, they'll know that I got their back. And, you know, I think it's going to be a fun time.
Jack, you still have to have talent. I think Lloyd would probably agree, you have to have talent. So how would you assess your talent heading into what's obviously going to be a very important offseason? And ideally, how much roster turnover, if you controlled everything, would you like to see?
You know, we have some flexibility this year financially. I think that's going to bode well. We've got a lot of discussions going on right now with free agents, as well as the trade market. I think, as Lloyd said, you know, we've been doing this thing for 5 years. You know, and it's just, I think, at the point where, as he touched on, you can now count on some of these players. Maybe before you had your fingers crossed because they're so young. But as players mature and take the next step, I think you're going to see good things out of a lot of these kids. And I think we're all excited about them. Anybody that knows the game, and I can tell you, sitting in this interview process, you know, with all of the people that we talked to, there was not a man that said, I was in another dugout and looked over there and said, well, I'd love to get my hands on that team right there. I'd love to get my hands around those kids. I'd love to get my hands around, you know, what's happening right there from a pitching and an offensive standpoint. That said, you know, we don't have a Miguel Cabrera in our lineup, and we don't have a Prince Fielder in our lineup. We're doing everything we can this year to try to add to that. And I think the core group is here. I think the young pitching, as well as the top 2 guys, are very, very strong. So as we go through the rest of the winter, we'll have a lot of discussions, whether it's via trade, whether it's free agency, or some way to acquire more talent. Certainly we need that, you know, and we're on a quest to try to acquire that.
Is Lloyd more inclined to be more patient in that regard than you, because you've seen it on a day-to-day basis where he's, you know, new to that part of it?
You know, I think the word might be understanding more than anything else. I mean, does he want to win it? Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, in our discussions, you know, he's not going to sit there pound the table. You got to go get this guy. You got to bring. I didn't get that at all. You know, his concern, and I'm speaking for you right now. You can take it whenever you want to. But his concern is I want to get my hands on these guys. I want to put my hand. I want to put my imprint on this group of players. And as I said, some of the things we'd like to do this winter is only going to help. It's only going to help the process. But I do think it starts with what you have, and you try to add to that. He understands that, you know, and I think we're continuing to go where we're headed. I think the arrows are pointing in the right direction.
All right, anything else for these guys before we break off for one-on-ones? Thank you very much. We'll have Jack on the right side of the stage and Lloyd on the left side.